Hey everybody, this is Janine with Ripples of Waves, and this is my take two. I tried to walk around the block with my 5G, and apparently I'm in a dead spot, so I decided to come in and do this a little bit live with you guys. So I want to talk about the story. So first of all, before I get into any of this, I want to give you a background, and you do your own research on this, but it's really important because it involves our fur babies. All right, and so this is the McCullough Foundation. If a lot of you have heard about Dr. Peter McCullough, a cardiologist, and he was a voice throughout the COVID. So, and he just runs a day-to-day. Okay, so he's a doctor, basically, is what they're saying here. All right, it basically he does a lot of investigative work. He has um, a business. I guess this is like a 501 3C, and I'm going to give you this information. Like I said, I want you guys to do your own research. I don't just like spewing things out there. And I looked him up, and I ran him against Groke, and this is where I'm getting the information. So he has Dr. McCullough has an investigative scholarship. They basically research the reports, and they call their peers, basically including, they have papers on it. It was including the COVID-19 vaccine injuries in a 2025. So they're self-published reports claiming links between childhood vax and autism and education. As you know, RFK Jr. has been out there talking about this also, but I think McCullough was out there first. So I want to talk a little bit about the reports that he has done. So I don't want to go into the autism. I'm mostly here about the vaccines and with our pets. So let me just all right. So I got it. The rabies. So there's a story. It says okay. So there's they're gonna, when I play this, you get more information out of it. So Merck, a new USDA approved NXT line of self-amplifying mRNA vaccines for dogs and cats targeting canine influenza, feline leukemia, and this is in the United States and Canada. And they're claiming, it's their claim, not mine. It's experimental and it's extremely dangerous and may cause shedding to humans. All right, these are real vaccines, and they use the they call it SA-mRNA technology. It's a small dose that instructs cells to produce a viral antigen plus an enzyme that's in there also. So let's just take a look. I'll come back to some of this information in a minute here. All right, let's just get to this here. Okay, producer, hit it.
What I'm most concerned about is that now they're rolling out the self-amplifying mRNA injections for the dogs and cats. They already have rolled it out last year. It's for flu, rabies, and feline leukemia virus.
Okay, can you guys hear this? I want to make sure that you can hear this coming through here. If I'm going to wait for you guys to tell me, because I don't want to go through all this and you guys not be able to hear me. So let me know if you can hear this okay. I might have to turn it up a slight bit. I turned it all the way down this morning. Let's put it back up. Let's go through this one more time. Can I get a 5-5 out there on what you just heard? Okay, fantastic. Dragon Wings is out there. All right, so I wanted Dragon Wings to see this here, and this is probably why she's in this line of business. But let me just start this over. Full volume I've got on here now. Please allow them to hear this.
What I'm most concerned about is that now they're rolling out the self-amplifying mRNA injections for the dogs and cats. They already have rolled it out last year. It's for flu, rabies, and feline leukemia virus. And so these are actively being injected into dogs. The vets, they won't even tell you that these are self-amplifying. It's called Novavax NXT, developed by Merck. So if you go to the vet, make sure they're not getting Novavax NXT. They will become self-amplifying RNA particle factories, and this can probably shed onto the human owners, and it can recombine with wild viruses and cause chimeric mutant viruses that we do not know what those can do. So be careful. It's a very serious situation.
Okay, I want to pause this here just for a second so that you can see this is the McCullough Foundation that is reporting this. It's investigative scholarship, education, justice, and public policy. The foundation has no veterinarian expertise on staff, but they have expertise in vaccinations. I don't think that, once you get a vax, it's a vax, whether it's for whatever animal, they can go in there and test on it, right? That it just seems like that it's a little bit iffy on what they're presenting to me here from Groke. So let's see here. The alarmist framing mirror is their human vaccine critique. Obviously, that they're basically going to say that that's where they specialized in was with humans, but is lacking supporting veterinary data and clinical studies from Foundation itself. All right, so they had to feel very strong about this information, what they came out with. Excuse me. Bottom line is the McCullough Foundation is a legitimate nonprofit that openly advocates a skeptical medical freedom perspective on vaccines, period. All right, so if you think that this may not be correct, do your own research. I'm not telling you to research this, but at the same time, you should be aware. Now, I will tell you, it's been 2 years since probably a little bit less than that. So my dog is 2 years old. Doesn't mean I didn't have her for the first 8 weeks, right? So she got her first set of shots by the breeder. Then I had to schedule her to take her in and get some shots. Now, this is the vet. Now, last night I did talk about a local vet that was bought out by private equity. And once you become private equity, you become a corporation. And they brought in all these new veterinarians into this. The guy was bragging he was from Texas. He came here to help out because there's a huge demand. We need more vets here, and we need more groomers here because the population, we're just growing, and it's just populating so fast. All right. So with that said, he says to me, and I told him I watched another show where they said if your dog needs shots, only ask for these particular shots. And that's what I did. I went in there and he came in, young Doogie Howser's brother, or whatever it might be, his son, came in to talk to me about the vaccines and telling me you have nothing to worry about. They only have mRNA in them. I just stepped back and said, "What are these 2 shots that you're giving my dog? They don't have it. These are for for some diseases or some. I can't remember what it was, and I will later. But anyways." I backed out from all the other shots, and I said, "No, you're not gonna do that." Well, it's by law, and I said, "Well, she's only 8 weeks old. I'll come back and get these other shots when they're required." All right, so yeah, so basically, we have to be aware of this. We've got to understand what goes into our body, what goes into our babies' bodies, what goes into anybody's that they're injecting. It really pisses me off every time I see something like this where they're just basically going to go, yeah, guess what? You're going to lose some weight, right? I'm not going to say what I'm talking about, but then they're showing all these other commercials out there. People are just grabbing their fat and shooting it into them. Now they've got a pill for it. They basically took what was a liquid and made it into a pill and calls it do ya something or other. It's just off the wall psychological brainwashing that is going on out there. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. When I earlier I was doing a video and I was walking around the block and apparently my 5G doesn't work. We do have some dead zones out here and I apologize about that. But let me just see what you're saying. Yeah, let's see here. I think Larry. Hi, Larry. I think Larry was on the video with me out there. And Larry was basically saying 2 years ago, I had a dream of animals attacking humans coming out of the forest. Manipulation, definitely. So he's basically telling you what his dream was. And I've been praying that this will not happen. How many of you guys? I'm gonna get on my rant and wave it. So they had this show out there called I think it was Dawn of the Dead, or Dead People Were Walking. I refused to watch that. I remember when my niece got a little bit older, and she would always be afraid to watch anything scary. She never turned it on. So what is the first thing that she gets introduced to? is the show, because my husband's sitting there. We're back in Illinois, and he's sitting there. Said, "Oh, there's this cool series on. It's Dawn of the Dead. These people are walking around and." Oh my God, were they trying to tell us something? I think so, because look what's going on right now. All right, so I'm just telling you, when I find these stories, I'm going to bring them to you, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to add a couple more little health stories here for you guys, because I love the information that I'm getting. And this one here,
another 6 this year, the last 6.
I'm going to start it over again. All right, let me just set this one up for you guys. This is about the humans. If I run across more animals, and actually too, if Dragon Wings ever wants to come on my channel, I'd be glad to throw you a link, and you could come out here and talk about what it is, the work that you're doing, because this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I never had children, so my children were my 10 children that I've had. Those were my children, and they're all basically in heaven right now waiting for me. But I've got 2 more to take care of before I get there. These are the things I saw, 3 of them with cancer, right? We don't know if the cancer came from what I was just talking about versus the food. It could be a combination. It's all the same thing as like what they're doing for us. All right, so moving right along from that one there. Let's see. Larry is saying, I don't watch TV or have a cell phone. Let's see here. Colleen is out there. Colleen, I know you tried to get me, and I just kind of couldn't. I did the walk. I did do the walk. I got the motivation going. That's why I'm probably all hyped up here. But let's just see what we have on the screen here that he's talking about. It's the latest video, and I don't think this is him. I think there's a man.
We're also getting rid of the food dyes. 9 food dyes. We're getting rid of all of them. We got rid of 3 last year.
So if you can't hear this, and it's because of I've got a camera that's got a microphone built into it. It sits on top of my monitor, and a lot of times you can't pick it up. And plus, the way he talks is he's kind of you know his voice is. So he's basically saying that he's now passing a new law to take all food dyes out of the foods.
We're getting rid of another 6 this year, the last 6. All 9 of them are going to be going to patrol.
So there were 6 colors out there. They got rid of 6. They got 3 more to go. Total of 9.
Petroleum-based synthetic food dyes. And we've already fast-tracked approval by FDA of 4 vegetable dyes.
All right, so now he's working with the FDA to get approval on 4 vegetable dyes. Did you guys know that you got vegetable dyes in your vegetables? What? My peas aren't green?
Which are going to replace those. So we're working with the industry to make sure they can make that transition. We're also getting rid of the food dyes. 9 food dyes. We're getting rid of all of them. We got rid of 3 last year. We're getting rid of another 6 this year, the last 6. All 9 of them are going to be going to petroleum-based synthetic food dyes. And we've already fast-tracked the approval by FDA of 4 vegetable dyes, which are going to replace.
Okay, this is repeating over. I didn't realize that. All right, so that's what I have there on that bookmark for the health thing. And let's see. I do want to go into more of this here on health. I'm just going to stick with health today. So this is RFK up here saying, for years they told us the real food was the enemy. Now the narrative finally is cracking. If protein and real fats were never the problem, why did we spend decades replacing them with processed substitutes? Now this is interesting. So he's throwing this question out to people, and this is how it always goes: is they throw a question out to make you think, right? And it's not that they don't know the answer, but you know, it's kind of I don't know. To me, it's kind of a slap in the face. He had no control over them putting processed substitutes into the food, right? Now he does. Now he's got some leverage on that, and he's working with the FDA, and they're looking at everything and anything, and it's going to be really good. So if you're just starting out and you're young and you're catching this, or if you got grandkids that are just starting to have their babies now, let them know that their kids are going to go back to being healthy like we were in 1970. I truly, honestly do believe that. A little bit on this cat purrs at a frequency of 25 hertz. The same frequency is used in medicine to speed up bone healing. The cat isn't pleased. It's doing something. The cat isn't pleased. It's doing something else. I just love this. And you know how old cats are, you know, how far back that they go and stuff like that, right? Yeah, so let's see here what else we have. And I did talk about the wisdom teeth. If you guys didn't catch us, I hope you guys do the research. This came from a somebody out there by the name of Valerie Ann Smith. I didn't do the research on this, but I would really like to know where this is at, if they're talking about it, or if this has really come into fruition for us, because we stopped the drilling, right? And so I talked a little bit about that also. So this is approved olive oil. It's a favorite of RFK Jr. Not saying I'm putting RFK Jr. He just happens to be a spokesperson for all the good stuff out there. So if you guys use Olivia Dorado, I don't even know where you could find it. If you guys followed me in the past, I was actually I interviewed another influencer, right? It was Pasta Grammar, right? Is because they made pasta, and she was from Italy, and he's an American. Now they're living over in Italy, and they basically did a show. If you could get a chance to get out there and see this, on how olive oil is made, the really good stuff, right? So there's a lot of high polyhensols, no seed oil blends, no shortcuts, lab tested purity, and real olive oil. And so on this show, they basically went and made this olive oil, and they said, for a short period of time until we're sold out, we're going to sell this. Now they're worldwide, they're international. They were sold out in 5 minutes. And they said they were only going to do this once because they were making it. And there's a huge process to making really good olive oil. And so I guess I got to catch them next year. And then that's basically what it is. So I'm going to leave you guys with this thing. And if any of you guys have any questions or anything like that for me, I'm going to come back and read your comments out there. Your phone is hijacking your brain, and I know this. I know this for a fact. And so Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is also letting you in on this also. Oh, so when I was sick, and I didn't say this to anyone except for a really close friend that I talked to, once or twice a week. When I was sick, I guess it was a combination of hay fever and allergies and all this stuff, and then I got infected. And you could still kind of hear it with me. And one other thing that actually happened was because I'm constantly doing this and making short clips, and I'm on my phone, and I don't know how much time has gone by. My dogs will let me know. They'll come up and they'll bark, or they'll come and stare in my face and say, "Mom, you're a robot. You're Dawn of the Dead." And what happened was in 2020, I had eye surgery. I had my lens replaced. A lot of people are doing this now. I was the first one in the state of Arkansas that did that. I was a guinea pig without knowing I was being a guinea pig. But they said I had cataracts in this one eye here. This one, no problem. 2020 all the way. This one they couldn't correct. And then all of a sudden they went in and did this laser therapy bullshit that I didn't want to begin with. But they couldn't get my vision right. It was like my brain was not connecting with my eyes. And then they did that surgery. Well, when I was sick, I don't know if it was how dry it was or what was happening in my mind and my eyes, but I kept seeing flashes of white light in just this eye only. And I was a little scared, and people were giving me out the worst scenarios. I'm running it through AI, and it says, "Oh, go to the emergency room," and all this other stuff. And then I started putting I had these drops from when I had the surgery. I had some left over. It cleared up. I thought, oh my God, what's going on with my eye, right? But then I would see the floaters. If you guys know what floaters are, I started seeing the floaters, and they were like all over the place. So I went and I got some more drops and just started putting in drops 3 or 4 times a day. When I had the surgery, I had to put drops in 10 times a day. and certain times, and there was a certain protocol that was like, use this drop and this drop, and then use this drop and this drop. So I had like a shitload of drops, and I just happened to have one left over, which I read, and it looked like it was the right one that I needed. Thank you, God. So right now, to this day, today, I still see the floaters, but they're not solid. It's almost as like I see the outline of it. And so I'm concerned that that surgery is not sticking like I thought it was going to. And it was very expensive. Of course, my husband's comment was the $10,000 right out the door, right? Well, I was an older person. They do it a lot on younger people. I think Jason Hughes, Dina had this done also. And I do remember at the time that they did this is going to sound really wacky, you guys. They only had one lens. They were doing another surgery at the same time. And then they said, well, don't worry, we're getting some more lenses sent over. I'm like, where the hell are they getting this from? They had to call up the salesman who has access to getting these lenses, and they put one in. They had to put the other one in my eye, and they did it very rapidly. When they remove the lens of your eyes, it's so damn quick, and it's unbelievable with these machines, these robots that come in and remove it and then replace it instantly. I had no idea. They don't really explain that to you. It's like going to the dentist. They don't tell you, if you want a bridge, we got to take a few of your other teeth, right? So sick of this shit. So anyways, that's all I'm saying is that these phones are coming back around to where I'm talking about. The phones are hijacking our brains. When you're constantly scrolling, it spikes. When constant scrolling spikes dopamine, and it sheds focus. It's shedding the focus, and that's exactly what I was feeling. And it rewires. It rewires and rewards your system. Step away and reclaim your attention, and feel your mind come back online. And then that's basically what it was. So the question is, are you on your phone all day, right? And so what I did for 2 days is I put my phone down and I just let it sit there. And if you guys recall, I said, I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to maybe take a week or two. I think I took about 8 days off from this internet stuff. And I had to, because first of all, it scared me to not be able to really see out of the side. My husband went and got me a patch. I wore a patch for a day, and I think that wearing the patch is good for a short period of time. But I had to get my mind rewired with my eyes again. So I'm just telling you that if anybody is out there, maybe I could save somebody, from whatever. Colleen, I had floaters. Let me just read this over here. I had floaters for as long as I can remember. My floaters come and go. Only time I had a floater was after the surgery and today. So it's been 6 years. In 2020, it's ironic because 2020, I got my eyes redone. And then I got the vision of 2020. I don't normally wear glasses, but as some of you have noticed, I have been struggling. The small print is getting smaller for me. And the other day, when I kind of knew something was going on, my husband goes, go to the eye doctor. Well, I don't have the insurance for that. I really don't have the insurance for that. I went because next year, March, I turned 65. I'm automatically enrolled in Medicare. It's so expensive for insurance that I took a plan that allowed me to have the highest deductible, which is crazy, especially at my age, to do this. And my husband says, oh my God, you're taking such a risk. I do have dental. That's extremely cheap still. But it's just one of these things. You're talking about health. Why break it down? Why have one for the teeth, one for the eyes, and one for the different parts of your body, right? You got to think about it. Everything is dissected. You don't want to go for your heart, go to a different doctor. You go for your feet, it's a different doctor. You want to go for your ass, it's a totally different doctor. So this is what I'm saying, is that why are they not just doing healing wellness all over? And chiropractors do that. Chiropractors don't say, well, I'm just going to work on your leg and that's it. You got to go to another chiropractor if you want to work on your arms. You know what I'm saying? This is insanity. It really is. All right. I'm off of that one. I'm off of it. So if you're on your phone all day, please consider your health. Please consider your health. One other thing I wanted to tell you guys, a lot of people can't afford to eat out. They can't afford food in the grocery stores. I'm telling you, we can't. It's not funny, but we went to the grocery store the other day, spent $120, had 20 items. The dog stuff cost a lot of money. All right. And I didn't have any dog food. And normally I make my own dog food. They got picky. They didn't want to eat it anymore. They have a special treats that they liked. That was expensive. So, okay, 3 items there. That leaves me with 17 other items. And then I said to my husband, we went to the grocery store. We don't have any food in the house. He says, I bought a jar of mayonnaise, which I don't eat mayonnaise at all. So it's just that kind of stuff that's not funny. But some people like to treat their kids to pizza, Domino's ingredients, hand tossed crust, wheat, flour, niacin, reduced iron. I can't go through what all these things are. But let me just say this: familiar food names have been co-opted to fool us into eating junk food laced with chemicals. Period. All right, where else are we? I don't know if you guys seen this one here or not. President Trump, our fearless leader, posted this video about vaccine caption. They're all poison, every single one of them.
Show them the financial law.
Let me start this from the beginning.
Show them the financial law, which we keep in a metal container because we're a little afraid of it. It's a very fine powder. This is thimerosal, which is labeled very toxic. It has cumulative effects, can cause damage to the kidneys, to the respiratory system, skin, to the nervous system. Specifically warns on here that it can cause reproductive and developmental toxicity, meaning that it can cause things like autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. This is immensely toxic stuff. And this is what's in the vaccine. It's important to realize we're talking about a whole range of products. Vaccines are a big one because, of course, you're directly injecting it. For example, this is tetanus vaccine. This one expires. It's a lot dated now. In 2007, here's the thimerosal. 1 to 10,000 is a preservative. Perhaps the biggest one in the U.S., at least, that's for exposure to mercury is the influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine is now recommended for all pregnant women, all infants, all children on a yearly basis. You're supposed to have last year's influenza? Understand that thimerosal is not added at the end. It's not like, well, that factory next year can make thimerosal free. Thimerosal, you either have to have a thimerosal-free factory or you have to not have one. They add thimerosal at each step because the factory is not clean and not sterile. So you either have to have an expensive sterile factory where you don't need thimerosal, or you have to have one that produces thimerosal. It's going to need thimerosal or something the whole time. It needs to be stopped. This is the influenza vaccine from Advanced Pasteur, their Fluzone. Thimerosal.
Okay, so I think you guys get the gist of it from this particular video here. This is what Donald Trump is saying. They're all poison. Thimerosal, every single one of them. If he put that out there, he's sending a strong message. And this is a video from September 8th of 25. And it looked like it was, I don't know how old this video is, to tell you the truth. Let me see if I can back out a little bit. I don't know if somebody is just reposting this. March 22nd, HealthBot put it out there. All right, so the flu shot is where basically they're saying that this is the worst with the flu shot. When I was really ill, I had a friend call me up and say, Janine, you've got to go to emergency care. You got to go and get a flu shot. You're really sick. And I said, no, I'm doing everything all natural. I'm halfway over it. At that point, I was at the 50% mark, and I honestly didn't know that it was going to travel from here down into the chest. And each day, each morning, it's a little bit difficult, but it breaks up, right? All right, so let's just take a quick glance at this particular picture here. so many times that they have been telling all these young kids, and the millenniums are really the ones that I see they don't want kids. They don't want to deal with children. And I don't know where that actually came from. It could have been, stuff like this that you're seeing. All these young, beautiful girls all sitting there in line for an abortion. And down below, let me remove this message here, is the maternity of all these other international immigrants. I consider them immigrants or just different nationalities, whether they're in our country or another country, but they're all ready to, give birth. We have to get back on the track. And you have been hearing over and over again that the pregnancies, the babies, everything is down. I'm from the baby boomers. After there was a war, they all went and they made love, right? And out came so many children from that. But now, good luck with finding anybody. You hear these parents, they'll say to their children, "I want grandchildren. I want grandchildren," right? Because it's something that it was especially if you're a boomer, and God, I hate saying that because now I see everybody bashing the boomers, but it's true. It's, and then the number one thing you got to consider, whether it's family or God or family, but that's the truth. My dad, to his dying day, would always say, it's all about the family and it's not about making the dollar. All right, let's see here. What else do we have here? Larry is saying white pine needle tea. Yeah. Oh. Okay. So let's talk about this. So dragon wings, you can make note of this too, especially if you got a really good recipe. And dragon wings, you don't have to come on the camera. We could put an avatar there and have you talking if you're more comfortable. That's a good way to get your feet wet. I do that with everybody. If you don't even want to do it, that's fine. So what recipe do you use for your dog food? I use chicken, grass-fed ground beef, and ground turkey, sweet potatoes, spinach, carrots. Yeah, I use the same recipe. Ground pasture raised eggshells. I haven't done the eggshells. I could grind them up. In the ginger and garlic, I haven't used those last three that you mentioned there, but we go to a local butcher, and they actually make up. It's usually turkey. You could get turkey or chicken, whatever you want in there, but they make up the dog food, and they take the liver. They tell you what's in there, so it could be a ground turkey liver, and there's one other meat in there that I can't think of, but they're organs. Obviously, they're organs. My dogs loved it when my husband made it. So I decided I'm going to throw it into the crock pot and make it. And I think I added a little bit too much water. It was kind of watery, and I had it cooking for a long time, which I should not have done. And then he said throw rice in there. They didn't like the rice. So I kind of screwed it up, and I had to keep sneaking it in with other types of their dog food. My dog loves it when I cook an egg for her, and eggs are supposed to be really good for the dogs. What do you guys think out there? So just to let you know, talking about health here. I'm trying to get healthy myself. I already went for a walk this morning, doing chair yoga. If you guys got any other suggestions for me, and I hope that you will come along. I'm not sure why my phone didn't work going around the block. And when I got home, I played it back, and the video was just cut out. It was like I got down as soon as I stepped away from the house, and it kicked into the 5G. It just didn't work. All right, so the 20 to 30 somethings in my family. Let's see who's this, Colleen? In my family want to have kids, but they can't even afford to get their own homes. I know. It's going to happen. It's coming. Just we got to keep holding that line. I watch every day about the real estate. I watch what's going on in the market out there, and the rates are coming down. I heard somewhere, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, and I could always look this up, but the rates for a house were 4.5. And let's see, I'm looking it up right now. And let me just see the 10 best home equity loans, 5 best mortgage refi. That's refinancing. I don't want to refinance. Let's see what we have here. Oh, 6.38 APR. That's a 30-year fixed. That's not good. My first house, I will tell you, I bought a house. It was a townhouse. and it was 9% interest rate. But the house is, I think I spent $60,000 on the townhouse. I'm not kidding you. So that would have been, I don't know how many years ago. And yeah. Yeah. Someone is letting me know that not all rice is real. And I know my Bella knows what's good. She knows what's real. And it's almost like I test her with the food. So the other day, when I said we went to the store, I bought some canned stuff, and if it says all natural, I look at it, I read it, I toss and turn this thing around a million times. I buy one can, and I'm like, oh my God, she ate it. And when I opened it up, it didn't look like, I always call it cat food, where it's all mushed up and it smells awful. Sorry, I'm not a cat person, but I love them. I think they're adorable. But at the same time, some of the stuff that they were making for these cats, oh my God. And so when I opened it up, it was chunks. They make these little pieces of meat in there, and I saw the vegetables that were in there. I'm hoping that they were real. Seriously, this is the world we live in. We don't know anymore. All right, so let's see what else we have out here. I don't want to get stuck on this one, yeah, but that's a good point. They want to have the. So if you guys remember way back in the day, and you may not even remember this, how many of you lived with your grandparents, right? Like, let's just say that grandma and grandpa were in the same house, or maybe an aunt. We lived with other relatives. It's kind of like the immigrants when they come over to the country. They're buying into the slogan of freedom here in the United States. Come to find out, they're not free for anything. They got to buy a house. There's insurance. There's car insurance. All that other stuff that they tag on our asses. We're not free. And so what they do is they buy one house. Mexicans are known for this. They'll get a lot of people living in one house. Well, I think back in the 50s, that was a common thing when the grandparents lived with you. So even up to the 80s, and then you don't hear about it that often. Yeah. Let's see what else we have out here. I think that is everything. Of course, a lot of people are still thinking that they're spraying out there. A lot of people think they've stopped it. And also too, the canned goods that has expiration dates, they don't mean anything. So I think I talked about that a little bit on my last show, and that takes me to what it actually. I want to go to the beginning here and just see what current events are happening out there. Um, ah, So there right here. Someone is saying paying taxes is a scam. I don't think Robert F. Kennedy is the one that's overseeing this, even though it's a blue check mark. I don't think it's him. Right there it says commentary account, and they're replying back saying taxes is. He is saying it's a big scam. A lot of people don't want to pay their taxes anymore. Okay, this video here is getting out. I'm going to try and bring you guys more videos like this if I can find them. It's hard to find them where they're really, really funny. My husband watched this one last night, finally, and he goes, it was funny. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave you with this, this loving thought here. And just tell you guys have a wonderful, blessed day out there. Please be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And we'll see you. I'll see you when I see you. Not until then. Bye now.